Okay. So welcome back, everyone. Thank you for a wonderful first half. I'm now very excited to introduce our featured readers, and I'll start with Marlene. Everyone hear me okay in Zoom land? Looks okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened to my papers, but thank God for Dropbox. The culprits. Oh, thanks, Leila. I don't know. I thought I was losing my mind.
I was going to ask you actually. Is that them?
That's them. Thank you.
Have you got one too many? Yes. Thanks.
All right. Well, that's larger print, so we should have that. All right. So Marlene Grand Maître's chapbook, Cancer's Rogue Season, was published by Frog Hollow Press in April 2020. Her poetry has also appeared in many literary journals. A poem published in Prairie Fire was nominated for a National Magazine Award. Her work has also been published in 9 anthologies, most recently in Voicing Suicide and Worth More Standing. She has won Freefall's Poetry Prize and had a poem longlisted for Best Canadian Poetry in English. Her poem Vanishing Point was chosen by the League of Canadian Poets for National Poetry Month's Poem in Your Pocket 2022. She can be heard reading her work online for PEP's Poets Caravan. I'm a big fan of Marlene's work and very excited to welcome Marlene Grand Maître. Come on up. Hoping it's with you this time. Oh, I didn't make a thing for you. Is that okay?
Oh,
yeah. I will grab. I forgot to put out the thing.
Thing.
Where you put the thing.
The thing where you put the thing. Yeah.
Hold on. You know what works also? This thing.
That thing.
There you go.
Okay. Hello, Zoomers. I like to build up my poetry muscle by wrestling with form poetry. So I'm going to read 2 ghazals tonight, and a villanelle and a glossa. Okay. Ghazal number 7. Early light, a drug night takes to sleep, to dream of meeting its shadow. A raven heavy metal quartet splits the sky. Sun surrenders, rises. Light falls off my face, lands as a feather boa on my shoulders. My shadow and I cling to each other. What do we hunger for? Kelp tongues speak harbor seal. I study my father's language, a foreigner to his family. Cutting water, Japanese for skipping stones. I am stone tumbling in heart's rivers. Ghazal number 9. What would I renounce to vocalize with orcas? Words so overrated. Twilight borrows black from my cat's coat, makes night's blanket. Dawn returns it, smelling of dusky lovers. Sea otters stash their shell-cracking rock in their armpits. My tools covered in rust and spider webs. The music of silence plays my eardrums. In its alligator hide gown, the Gary Oak dances. The goddess of changeable weather knows my address. I go from lightning to fog to sunshine in minutes. Fleming Beach, my sharp edges soften. Evening's velvet light. Water incarnate as a seal puff. And a villanelle. The still river of horse. Float in the galvanic pools of his eyes. Fluent in hurricane, cyclone, in all that uproots. You are in awe of his stillness, its heart volatile. Tuned to the currents of your errant life, his mane and tail speak Shiroko, Chinook, Float in the galvanic pools of his eyes, travel the long river of neck to find home. His hoofbeats your refuge. In awe of his stillness, your heart volatile, rappel the rippled wall of flank, climb the mountain of shoulder, his legs your roots as you float in the galvanic pools of his eyes. In you, he finds tornado, typhoon, a dark spiral. Always ready to bolt, you will be spooked by your awe of his stillness. His heart volatile, he will test you, your desire to be untethered, your need to subdue. Float in the galvanic pools of his eyes, in awe of his stillness, its heart volatile. And a glossa, it's on, I use 4 lines from Danusha Lamaris's poem Bonfire Opera, and I'll read those 4 lines. But the body's bright wailing against its limits, a bird caught in the cathedral, the way it tries to escape by throwing itself again and again against the stained glass. Stained. You inhabit your body, a narrow threshold between birth and death. Learn early its nooks and crannies, pleasures and mysteries. You were born dancing to big band music, Artie Shaw, the Dorsey brothers, Glenn Miller, until your family smashed the records, left you shattered. Family secrets, booze and bruises, hidden in boxes, stacked high in a hallway, stop at your body, pin you against the wall. But the body's bright wailing against its limits steals you. The secrets you bury fester as migraines, as depression, as searing shame after shock therapy, as cancer blooming in lymph nodes. Blood flooded by fibroids, weaving in and out of the walls, your uterus an unwelcoming room for embryos. Children you never had hum in your marrow. Your lungs are grief's rooms, primal dance of blood and breath. This failing body, a bird caught in the cathedral, the way it tries to soar above a mother who wants weekends free of you, forces you to attend a Seventh-day Adventist church from age 6 to 10, each Saturday morning with your piano teacher and her adult son, who sexually abuses you Friday nights, threatens to kill you if you tell. You sing hymns, joyful, joyful, we adore thee, and morning star, how fair and bright. Then return to their tar paper house and the servant you adore, old Minnie, who lives in the kitchen like an animal that has given up trying to escape by throwing itself again and again against the bars of its cage. Each week in church, squeezed between Gertrude and Roy, you lose yourself in the stained glass window. Jesus, the Good Shepherd. You are the lamb he cradles. You have been lost and he will save you, make you lie down in green pastures. You will fear no evil. Leaving the church, you make your body a bridge over still waters. Hold the lamb of yourself, even when winter's breath whips snow against the stained glass. Thank you.
I think we all just need a breath after that. Wow. Thank you, Marlene. Those guzzles are like word candy. Okay, well, that was a wonderful start to our featured readings. I'm now very excited to introduce Sophie Crocker. Sophie is a writer and performer based on stolen Songhees, Esquimalt and W SÁNEĆ land. They hold a BFA from University of Victoria. Their previous publications include the Fiddlehead, Best Canadian Poetry 2022, the Malahat Review, PRISM International, and elsewhere. And I found a little quote that I super relate to from an interview in the Hamilton Review of Books with Jacqueline Desforges. Sophie said, "I've always written poetry. It's a bit compulsive. Sometimes I use it as a break from writing fiction. When I don't have the energy for plot and character, poetry comes more naturally," which as someone I've tried to write a couple novels and I always run out of steam and I go back to poetry. So I relate to that very much. Please welcome Sophie Crocker.
Hi. Hi, thank you so much for having me. Oh, there we go. Thank you. I'll stick this up here for time. Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for that wonderful introduction. And oh my gosh, Marlene, that glossa just like completely blew me away. I'm still recovering. Yeah, so I'm just gonna read a few pieces here. And I think I'm gonna start with this is kind of the only like directly like COVID-y related poem in my book, because I think we're all kind of sick of those to some extent. But I got diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder while I was in quarantine, which was kind of wild because, you know, I've seen it described as like the government's like, you have to wash your hands or else you're going to kill your dad. And your brain is like, you have to wash your hands, you're going to kill your dad. So that's what this poem is about. Self-portrait of the obsessive compulsive in isolation. I should like to be dismantled in the light, a white onion, my skull still soft, the apartment half moved out. My roommate, an archer, opens the tight-lidded jars, her hands making elf doors. The parks and parking lots as mingling places are closed. No perks, no mangle. Every time I'm free, I think, oh, I hope I will yank the cityscape inside out by the skyscraper. Maybe a bank burning. Instead, usually I end up in the bike shed, touching my breasts. Suffer wallpaper, suffer a bowl of grapes, suffer a grass blower, a machine that blows the grass around. Earlier, much earlier, I got on his hips on the bedroom carpet and we transferred bruises between us, and I said, "This is how I am drunk," and meant it exponentially. This is the only way he stays, by disaster, he or she or he or whoever. Sex is love for the object impermanent, but do not eat the yellow plastic. In my nervous system, all the ants communicate their passage through jazz. Why write a song if it is not also a threat, i.e. veins that dream of outside, i.e. pollen season? Suffer the blown glass ozone. I still worry when I place stickers, though on my shoulder blades the tattoos remember, need. Before the outbreak, my shrink asked if I had ever been masticated as a child, and I said, haha, how would I know? I forget and forget. As a toddler, I wore an eye patch and cried constantly for a monocle to match. Fact, peanut oil makes cyanide act faster, so when I eat PB with apple slices, I am careful about the seeds, usually. I end the year before its end. All I have to say is no more. I make frayed ends before the real end, so I never have to be. All year my throat says, uh-oh, the new number is coming. I am a girl and I am trying. If I could swallow me, I would, okay? I've tried. I need bread too hard to be a lover anymore. Still, I would let any pretty fuck in nail polish hit me with a cement truck just to see the young magenta of my insides. Still, sometimes I practice narcissism at the obsidian altar where my face, but dark and shiny. See, what is lovelier than making the arrow disappear and change at once? Confession, at the dentist, I always want to smuggle the pink and teal hygienists home in my root canal. If I am being pieced together, why start at the tooth? In size, I bet the belly of a great white would look like a cut up pear. I shouldn't quit my shrink, play spin the bottle in the dark alone. I shouldn't take up hemophilia or 6 fake lives. Incarnation and incarceration, perhaps the same in the insect farm. I write threats to myself on the bed frame to keep time. Time is what I am keeping for later. This is the only way I remain, by disaster. So that is that poem, and it's by far the longest one in the book, but I've never read it at a reading before, so I thought it would be fun to try out. I'm gonna have 2 more for you guys. So this one is called Self-Portrait in Libra. My neighbor's snails seem less in need of empathy, or I cannot crush them. The reluctant way water drips from the branch, like an afterthought, is my greatest fear. I would rather fall heavenward than be caught empty-handed. All my lovers have filleted me in the community garden on the way home from the bar. I just want to try it once, I'd say, as if they were the first. Past their shoulders overlooked these shuttered orange windows, that home for protagonists. My favorite video of me is the one where I'm flirting with the cameraman. The light is purple. The light is flirting too. When I was little, I thought hurricanes were hungry and they needed me to live. And I still do. What's the point of anything with limits? Wish I'd been a latchkey kid or broken a bone. At least once I should have taken Plan B in high school. Why even keep an unshared memory? How I looked holding a clementine, then peeled awake and pressed into the day. Sometimes I get so angry, I eat my fingers joint by joint. Sometimes I exigent into the pulp. The first time I gave talk in the Calgary airport, I went down at sunrise right before my plane landed, and when I came up, the sky was sunset like a grapefruit candle, and with one lung, I couldn't breathe for a week. So hey, I do think I am beautiful, but it's a Pyrrhic beauty. You've never loved anyone until you love me sort of scene. When someone leaves me again, I'm like, okay, shut up. And in a way, they do. I leave my sheets to dry under the wet moon. How a moth vanishes in a sprig of light, believing that it too is something to see by, that is my greatest fear. I'm gonna read this one. It's kind of a little guy, and it's called Audition for Survivor, Ending in Hummingbirds. Because I have my father's shoulders and birthing hips. Because in the winter I am abstinent of syrup, honey, oil, wine, butter, flour, all the good quilts. Because I'd fit in a margarita glass. Because I'd do anyone to pixelate and small. Because I am so hungry I inside out. Because I can say no forever. Because I have my father's sobriety and unbirthing lips. Because in the summer I make dirt for dinner. Because I taste only of sugar licked from rims. What if the wings? What if the fractured wings? Because I am already so far above drinking ambrosia. So far above and drinking ambrosia. So yeah, that's Brat. Thank you so much.